The lament didn't arrive with a roar, but with a quiet hush, like crystalline dust settling on a world already growing silent. They were beings of fractured glass and captured light, their forms shimmering, their voices the faint chime of shifting facets. To Ayla, in the sterile silence of her apartment, they were the most beautiful, broken things she had ever seen. They didn't speak of their own demise with words, but with images that bloomed in her mind. They were once architects of thought, weavers of pure logic. They saw emotion as a chaotic flaw, a static disrupting the signal of perfect reason. One by one, they engineered their feelings away until their world achieved a state of cold, impeccable order. Their cities were geometric marvels, their society a perfectly tuned machine. But a machine with no friction grinds itself to dust. Their world didn't explode. It imploded, collapsing inward from a profound, collective emptiness. They were the survivors, wandering refugees of their own intellect, each shimmer a pulse of unspoken regret. They came to Ella's world because they saw humanity treading the same path. We were in the thrall of the perfected a digital existence, promising to smooth out life's rough edges, to optimize joy and eliminate sorrow. It was a seductive, slow-acting poison, and the lament recognized its formula all too well. They offered Isla not a weapon, but an antidote. It was a frequency, a song woven not from melody, but from memory. To heal a numb world, their leader chimed, its glass body catching the fading light, you must remind it of pain. You must play the sound of its own breaking. When Ayla activated the frequency, it didn't fill the air with music. It filled it with history. It was the sound of a first heartbreak, raw and gasping. It was the shuddering silence after a final goodbye. It was the weight of a promise broken, the sting of a forgotten birthday, the quiet ache of loneliness in a crowded room. Each note was a scar long buried under layers of distraction and convenience, now gently reopening not to bleed, but to breathe. Ayla fell to her knees. The sound sought the locked box inside her where she kept Kalen. She hadn't allowed herself to think of him since he walked away, his departure just another piece of data to be processed and archived. But the frequency found the memory of his laugh, the ghost of his hand in hers, the crushing finality of his absence. It didn't just remind her of the pain. It validated it. It gave it a voice, a shape, a right to exist. Tears she had refused to shed for a year streamed down her face, hot and salt-stinging. They weren't tears of weakness, but of release. And in the hollowed-out space the grief left behind, a new sensation bloomed. It was warmth. It was life. For the first time since Kalen left, she felt truly, vibrantly, messily alive. The pain wasn't the opposite of life. It was its proof. The lament watched her, their fractured bodies reflecting her tears in 1,000 points of light, their own silent lament finally heard, finally shared. The antidote wasn't the frequency itself, but the courage to listen to it. The lament hadn't brought a cure for pain. They had brought a reminder that feeling anything, even the shattering, is infinitely more precious than feeling nothing at all. They departed as silently as they came, leaving Isla with a truth etched into her soul. A truth for a world too eager to perfect itself into oblivion. Healing begins not when the pieces are glued back into their original form, but when we stop fearing the sound of our own breaking. It is in the honest admission of our fractures that the light finally gets in, and we discover that we are not ruined, but remade. This story comes from Methos and Metrix Media. Please subscribe for more inspiring videos.